and welcome to the Shoogly shed for a little bit of a different episode today. I'm basically waiting on parts for the GS500 build, so I thought I would put together a little how-to video, which is unusual. I've not really done one of these before, but this is a how-to change the handlebars on a motorbike, featuring Mrs. Shoogly, the famous Mrs. Shoogly. This is Derry, my wife.
Hi.
And this is Derry's YBR125 commuter machine. Derry rides this to work on a near daily basis, so it's a bit rough around the edges, but it does the job. It gets you from A to B, and that's the point. When we got this bike, we fitted these sort of flat drag bars to it, and they've been good up until now, but to be honest, it's not the most comfortable, well, speaking for you, but it's not the most comfortable commuting position. Am I right?
That's right, yeah, I get sore shoulders after a while, especially if I'm going to the further side.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got a little set of riser bars to put on it. Not quite as high as the stock risers, but just a little rise in them. So that's basically what our job is today. So the first job when you're changing handlebars on a motorbike is to strip everything off of the existing bars. So we're talking grips, controls, brake lever, grip, controls, clutch lever, and any accessories. Derry has heated grips on her commuter bike, lucky sod, so the controls for them will need to come off as well, and then we can unbolt it. So first off, these things, then these. Okay, so the brake is off, the clutch lever is off, the controls are off on this side and loose on this side. Your throttle side of your controls has a sleeve under the grip which allows it to move freely, and it should all come off as a oneer, like that. This side, however, the grip is just pushed onto the bar, so it's a bit more stiff, and the controls are separate. So getting this off can be quite simple, or it can be quite tricky. Sometimes with a little bit of force you can slide the grip off. If it's a really tight fitting grip, you can wedge a really small screwdriver or something under there, scoosh a little bit of brake cleaner. The reason I say brake cleaner, some people use like WD-40. The problem with WD-40 is that it lubricates it so much that getting the grip back on, it'll just be really loose. It'll always be lubricated, so using a little bit of brake cleaner allows you to lubricate it temporarily to get it off. The brake cleaner will dry out, and then when you put it back on, it should stick nice and firm, and you won't have a problem with your grip moving about. Other thing is that sometimes your control cables, these, are too tight to allow the grip to come off. It just won't come off like that. So the top tip is when you undo these bolts, you'll be able to slide the bar this way and slide the controls this way. And that will make it easier to get these things on and off. You just need to remember that when you're putting the new bars back on, you need to slide the grip and the controls back onto the bar before you do these bolts up. That's just an easy way of doing it, rather than trying to stretch your cables and damaging anything. Literally just undo these, slide the bar that way, slide the control that way. So the new bars we have are these. These are basically going to go on to the clamps there. You should have little ridged parts in the bars that grip into the clamps. Like I said, I'm going to put the controls on first before I put the clamps on, because the cables don't reach quite far enough. So we'll do that first, then we'll put the clamps on, all 4 bolts. We'll do them up finger tight first, and then I'm going to talk you through tightening them up. Okay, so the bars are on finger tight. That means we've only done these up with our hands. When you're tightening these up, if you tighten one all the way first, it puts a lot of pressure on this. It doesn't actually spread the load between the 2 bolts. One of them pins down harder. And what can happen is, because these are made of cast aluminium, they can crack or indeed snap. So it's very important that you tighten them a little bit at a time. So once they're past finger tight, just go like a half turn, a half turn, a half turn, a half turn, half turn, half turn, until they're nice and snug. And that way you should avoid putting too much pressure on one side or the other. Likewise with these ones. Usually just go a sort of crisscross pattern. I go half turn, 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 until they're nice and snug. Remember these little ridges I was talking about? We want to try and use them to make the bar centered. So that's about right, I think. And then we want to figure out the angle, the height you want the bars at. Generally we go for a little bit of forward sweep, like that. That's roughly the right kind of angle we're going for. And then we'll do these bolts up in a second. This is a bone of contention between a lot of mechanics. If you look at your controls on the inside, can you see that nub of plastic there? So that nub basically goes into a hole that's drilled in the stock handlebar. And Derry's old handlebars were steel, so we drilled a hole in the old ones that nub could sit in and hold them still. However, the new handlebars are aluminium. Now, I've done it myself. I've drilled holes in aluminium handlebars and not thought twice about it. But if you're drilling holes in aluminium, it's not quite as strong as steel, and it is prone to more cracking. So if you're putting a hole there, it is a point of weakness and can possibly crack. So the thing to do if you're not confident drilling holes in your aluminium handlebars, you've got brand new bars and you don't want to do that, especially if you're ever going to put them on a different bike and the holes would be in the wrong place. What you can do is take a wee file and just file away that nub, and just maybe leave, I don't know, 1/2 mil of it left. And when you tighten up the controls, that'll press against the bar and it should give you the grip you require for it not to move. So we're going to do that with these ones now. A little point to make is that these clutch and brake levers have detachable clamps, so there's 2 bolts and the clamp comes off, so you can fit these without taking the grip off. If yours are what's called a captive clamp, so there's only 1 bolt and this is a complete circle of metal, you will need to slide these onto the bar before you put the grip and the controls on. So I probably should have pointed that out, but that is essentially the way to go if it is a captive clamp. Ours luckily is the double clamp, so we can just put it on and clamp it on after we've put the grips and the control on. So now that the bars are fitted and in place, one thing to check, if you're fitting lower bars than were stock, just make sure when you go to full lock that your controls don't contact your tank. When you go to full lock, it should stop before the controls hit the tank. If your controls hit your tank, you'll fail an MOT. So make sure that doesn't happen. If your bars are too low and your controls are this far round, and when you hit the tank, you'll need to do a bit of playing about to make that right, or possibly the bars are just too low for that style of bike. That's kind of the only 2 options there. Right, well that's the bars fitted. What do we think, Derry?
Much better, yeah. Happy days.
We like them, good stuff. Hopefully you'll see that fitting bars or changing your bars isn't that difficult a job. Just follow the procedures and make sure that you note how everything comes off, and then you can put it all back on again. Really not difficult. So that was a wee change from the normal videos, but maybe I'll do a few more how-tos if people enjoy that kind of thing. Just as and when I'm doing little jobs, I can film little videos like this to help you along if you've got jobs similar to do. As usual, give me a like, leave me a comment, and make sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this and for the videos in my build series, and I shall see you next time. Cheers.